fabulous fabric from the land of the Five Rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
The Raiders are a really interesting team. We don't love the ownership, but they have a new front office, a new coach from New England.
If Josh McDaniels don't turn the team around this year, it's to be fired.
Not a lot has gone right for the Raiders under this regime.
They're doing what they do best. They are trying to lose. They should probably find a new hobby because it is going to be a disaster.
Welcome to Undrafted, everybody.
Welcome to Undrafted. If you don't know, now you know, man. The show is now called Undrafted. We made it official the last time we went live on Tuesday. So you're now watching Undrafted with Farrell and Ray. And we got a good show, man. We got a preview coming up. Monday Night Football. We're kind of on national TV a lot this year.
For a lot of no reasons. You know, like,
I mean, let's stay positive, Ray. Let's stay positive.
All right. Reel me back in here.
Yeah. Let's stay positive, man. Like, hopefully, this is the game where the Raiders can get back on the W column. But salute to the chat, salute to the nation, man. We appreciate everybody coming through and being patient with us as usual, man. We got Raider Tiger. He says, "Hey, smarten up." And we're gonna talk about that. We didn't get a chance to talk about that the other show. He's making a comment about Mark Davis telling a fan to smarten up, and we'll get into that. That's a whole conversation in itself. So we'll have a lot to talk about today. So we'll get into that later. Yeah. Hatamaki says, "What's up, nation? I appreciate you coming through as usual." Yeah. Hey, where are you from? Where are you actually from? Are you from the States?
And is that your full name? I was curious about that.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat. Sean Schefter Johnson says, "Salute Farrell and Ray, man. As usual, Sean, always coming through and supporting, as usual, man. I'm gonna check my DM, and I know you got something in there, man. Some breaking news for me. So, all eyes on G, man. I got you." Appreciate you coming through, man. As usual, man. J Dub, salute Pharaoh and Ray, man. Thanks for coming through, man. Asta Villa, he says, hey, let's go. Man, we got some real ones in the chat today, man. We always got real ones, man, but especially today.
And I love the consistency. I love the consistent names that I'm seeing. So shout out to you guys.
The all CNI,
Uh-oh.
the all CNI right here, Raider Resistance, aka Digital Prez in the building. Man, he is paying attention, man. I'm glad he's here watching us live, always supporting us, man. We appreciate this guy, man. If you guys don't know, you guys need to go check him out on IG, one of the best Raider channel, IG channels out there, as well as RaiderResistance.com. The dude is always dropping fire articles on his website, so you definitely check him out. Inner City G was good. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming through. Man, we got a lot of people pulling up. Raider Way. I was gonna say Raider Ray. I don't know why.
I always get confused with that.
It's the A part.
It is.
But yeah, let's get into it, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got a lot to talk about, man. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers. They're coming to Las Vegas to take on the Las Vegas Raiders, man. I want to, this is going to be a good game. We're going to get into it. Let's first start with the injury report because it was just released today. The final injury report. And let me put that on the screen. You see it? See it on the screen?
You're good.
All right, let me pull it up right here. So Nate Hobbs is out a second straight week. He's not going to be playing on Monday Night Football. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to pay attention to on Monday because I felt like Meek Robinson and people stepped up when he was gone. But this is going to be a tough game, especially with this receiving core. I feel like it's really talented.
You know what's crazy? If you look at it, Jacorian Bennett is questionable. David Long, who filled in for Jacorian, he's questionable.
Yeah.
Nate Hobbs, he's out. Tyler Hall. What kind of depth pieces are we looking at here? Because that CB room, who's ranked 13th in the league right now, that's looking a little bit thin heading into this game.
Adams is not missing this game. There's no way he's going to be missing this game. Come on, this is his former team. He's going to, on Monday Night Football, he's going to want to put on a show and let Green Bay know what they're missing, man. So I think Adams, he's going to be playing.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get one of those special shots in the shoulder.
He's been resting all week. I think that shoulder injuries from like last game, we remember where he kind of the player awkwardly fell on him as he was going down on the ground and he left the game. I think that's probably what this is. And this is all for precautionary reasons, just to give him some rest. And he was able to at least come back and practice at that last practice. Usually it's a Friday practice since it's a Monday Night Football game. It's Saturday. Jacorian Bennett was questionable.
Yep.
It's something to keep an eye on because at the end of the day, look, we got another corner that played well, even though he was on my stock down list just for that. Oh man, that penalty! I hate pre-snap penalties, especially a corner that can't line up correctly. Like, come on, bro.
I know. He rebounded though. He rebounded though.
He had a solid game, but he is listed questionable, and that's something to keep an eye on because at the end of the day, he did play well. Malcolm Kuntz is off the injury. He's off the injury report.
That's a great sign.
Yeah, so he's playing, and I think he's due for a big game. And we'll get into that in a second. And yeah, man, I think Max Crosby, he's good to go. So this is all good signs for the most part. But Hobbs is kind of like, man, we would love to have him out there, but he's out. For Green Bay, they got Jair Alexander questionable, but this is another one where I don't see him missing his game because he said I think there was a quote earlier this week where he says, "There's no way I'm going to miss this game to play against the best receiver in the game," and he's talking about Devontae Adams. So he's for sure, he's a competitor, so he's definitely gonna make this game. Safety Zion Anderson, he's out. Devondre Campbell, I think he's a starter. He's out. Rudy Ford, questionable. Aaron Jones.
He'll be good to go. He'll be good to go.
Hamstring injury too.
Yeah, he'll be good.
This is big because we know that he's a big part of their, like, not just their running game, but also their passing offense too.
Yeah,
he's a threat.
He's a go. He's a go.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Eric Stokes. This guy, I don't know if he's been playing too much, but he's questionable. Watson, he missed a few games earlier in the season, but I think he's back. He's good to go. So, yeah, for the most part, I think they're every team is going to be pretty evenly matched as far as like getting most of the starters on offense and defense. So this is pretty much the injury report. Any surprises? Anybody that you're kind of like, man?
Nah, to be honest with you, it's just the defensive back room. I think Jacorian's going to be able to go, and I think David Long will be able to go. But say for some freak accident, Jacorian's out and David Long is out. I mean, that's a pretty big loss for this defensive back room.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but let's get into it, man. Let's just go hop straight into it, man. Raiders and Packers preview. Looking at this team, for me, I feel like this is a winnable game. I feel like this is a very winnable game. I think the Packers are an average team. Their quarterback, as talented as his arm talent is, like he can make every throw. He's inconsistent, and I feel like the way our defense is set up, this is an opportunity for them to step up, and this could be a turnover game. Whoever turns the ball over the most is probably gonna win this game. And it's not like I'm saying the Raiders are like a top-notch football team right now, but I'm just saying this is a game where the Raiders can easily take this game, to me, in my opinion. I'm not looking at the Packers and being like, oh my God, the Packers team is unbelievable. They got some talented pieces on their team. From, we mentioned that Jaire Alexander is one of the best corners in the game. The receiving core is pretty good. I like the Christian Watson dude. He's coming back from injury, but you mentioned, I think earlier we talked about it, was Romeo Doubs, 87. He's a pretty good receiver. Number 11, they got a rookie, Jaden Reed is solid. Their run game is kind of it's hit or miss, but I think that maybe the injuries to Aaron Jones has kind of been like maybe affecting their run game a little bit. And it was funny too, even with Aaron Jones, they were in if you remember, they were in those rumors where they're going after some of these running backs, like a Jonathan Taylor and some other guys that were available before the season started. So it's kind of interesting. But what do you think of the Packers?
Overall, I think these are two teams that are struggling to find their identity a little bit. I will say, though, for the Green Bay Packers, I think that they have found a little bit more of a groove than what the Raiders have right now. I like their defense, the way they're kind of performing. And with Jordan Love, getting his first year to start, he's flashed some things here and there that he's done really well. But then there's some evident flaws in his game. And I think they've gotten a little bit lucky, specifically in the Saints game. Derek Carr goes down. And they're able to rally in that game and come back and win. And then they play the Detroit Lions, who's a division rival, who, when you're looking at games like this, and it's a good thing that the Green Bay Packers went against the Detroit Lions, because those divisional rivalries, you are able to find tendencies that each of those teams and those ball clubs exploit. Well, I believe that Detroit Lions put a great game plan out there specifically for the Raiders to go out there and attack Green Bay. And some of the things that Detroit does well, I feel like the Raiders can do their best to mimic it. Specifically with, and I'll get into the matchups later. I'll get into play calling and some plays and stuff that you guys need to keep an eye out for. But to be honest with you, to focus in on the two teams, man, I just think Green Bay right now might have a slight advantage just because their offense, specifically in the red zone, they're starting to click. They just feel like they have a foundation on that side of the football more so than what the Raiders do.
Right.
And, but yeah, man. And to be honest with you, I guess there's a huge question, right? Is the Raiders run game going to get back to the place to where it was last season? Because right now, what are we, 31st or 32nd ranked rushing offense in the league?
Yeah.
And you compare that to last season when we have the league leading rusher. And I think it's a real question. Like, are we even going to see flashes at this point of that old rushing attack? And if not, What kind of adjustments are we going to make in order to keep this offense on track?
Yeah, nah, I think with the Packers, I think it's an opportunity for us to get our run game going, because they're literally giving up 155 yards a game to running backs. And going back to that Detroit game, they gave up a lot of rushing yards against Detroit, as well as, the quarterback Jordan Love got sacked a lot. So this is the recipe for the Raiders to win this game: is they got to get to the quarterback as well as be able to run the football. And that's week. This is the second week in a row where the Raiders had a really solid matchup as far as running football. Because you remember the Chargers going into the Chargers game, we were talking about how bad the Chargers defense is against the run. We didn't do anything. With the Steelers were struggling against the run. To stop the run, we didn't do anything. So the Raiders are going to have to make an adjustment. They're going to have to dial up some runs that maybe Josh Jacobs is accustomed to running, and maybe inside zone, a guy something that we know Josh Jacobs is good at running, as well as this O-line. I'm not sure if this O-line is a power blocking O-line.
No, they just don't have the size. Well, when you look at even player personnel, Andre James comes from, that's a Tom Cable guy, and Tom Cable, we all know historically, has ran zone his entire career. Colton Miller was drafted as a zone blocking left tackle.
Yeah.
Dylan Parham is not built for a power blocking. He's a former tight end. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't remember.
And they drafted him. So the excuse for okay, you got a Colton Miller. Okay, that's a previous regime. Okay, Andre James, previous regime. But they actually drafted a Dylan Parham.
Yeah. And
they want to run a power screen. But then do you think maybe he's more best suited at center?
No, I don't.
You think he's where he's at is pretty much where his best position is left guard?
Well, right guard in college is where he had the best success, and I thought that was going to be the move, was right guard. But who knows? Maybe they don't feel like they have a left guard on the roster. Maybe he's able to play left guard, and a guy like Van Roten doesn't play as well transitioning over to that side. So he has that versatility along the offensive line that is a plus to his game. But no, as far as power, the fact that we're still running powers, it's pretty funny. But to me, though, man, it's can the Raiders find a way to get more at-bats on offense? Are we going to be able to stay on track? Because I feel like the pacing of the offense has been the big issue for Josh McDaniels, is can he keep his play calls and his play sheet balanced? Because you see those drives where we throw 3 straight passes and it's a 3 and out, you know what I mean? Or
right.
It's just the inconsistencies with keeping the offense on schedule, on time, balanced. It's just not there. And I understand early on in the game, guys, you're getting those 2-yard runs, 1-yard runs, but you've got to consecutively attack that way later in the game, man. Those can break off for chunk plays, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12. That's how you find consistency in the run game. But yeah, man, I don't know. This game is heavily involved for me with coaching, Matt LaFleur, Josh McDaniels. And to me personally, I'm going to be honest, I think Matt is out here coaching up his organization much better than what Josh McDaniels is.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair to say. The reason why I said this is a good matchup for the Raiders is because you could tell that the Raiders' defensive philosophy right now is bend but don't break defense. And they're playing against a team that loves to take shots down the field.
Yeah.
No matter what, they're going to take a shot down the field, and they're going to get it by any means necessary. Meaning, it's kind of like similar to Derek Carr, for example. Mm-hmm. Derek Carr was throwing the ball deep a lot the last couple of years before he left the Raiders. But even if we didn't complete the deep ball, we would get a penalty. So they're kind of the Raiders got to be really disciplined back there in the secondary. They're going to have to take away that deep ball, which I feel like they've done a good job, and led by Morik, who's probably having his best season since his rookie season.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a big part of this game, is to take away that deep ball, which they've done with a lot of these QBs, and force a Jordan Love who's inconsistent into a dink and dunk type of style, which his completion percentage is in the 50s, 50 something percent completion percentage, which is, if you're going to dink and dunk, that's not going to get it done. And that's where you know, if you, and that's another thing too. You got a team that's going to look for constant deep shots, constant opportunities for a guy like Max Crosby, Matthew Kuntz. And I'm going to call this right now. I'm going to call the shot right now.
Uh-oh.
Earlier, I said Kuntz was going to be a guy that, you know, is due for a big game.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, I think Tyree might get his first sack this game.
Dude, oh, you took it. Oh, come on, man.
Tyree Wilson is going to get his first sack, man. I'm calling it.
And I'm going to tell you on who, too, because
he's gotten better every week. Raider Nation has been tough on him because obviously Jalen Carter has been killing it with the Eagles, and our trauma when it comes to first round draft picks we all know, we understand, we get it. But you know what? Tyree Wilson, it's too early, and he's gotten better every week. And he showed some things last game. I'm like, okay. He was pressuring the quarterback a little bit better than what we've seen. Still needs to improve. But this is a very good opportunity with a team that likes to take a lot of deep shots. That means they're going to hold the football. A guy like Jordan Love is going to hold the football and, you know, give opportunities for Max Crosby or the other pass rushers who need to step up. So I'm saying Wilson will get his first sack, and I think Kuntz is going to be a factor too as well. But yeah, man, I think there's a good chance. I think I could see Wilson getting his first sack this game.
No, yeah, I like that. And well, since we're already kind of doing it, let's just transition into the matchups because we're starting to dabble into that a little bit here.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so since we're talking about the Tyree Wilson, let's just not backtrack. Let's just get straight into that. All right, Jon Runyan, Packers right guard, struggling right now. Struggling with inside rip moves, struggling with bull rush power moves, struggling with stunts. So this game, man, Patrick Graham, I got to see him dial it up. I've got to see stunts, more stunts, and more stunts. I've got to see these guys get involved, move Max Crosby around, get him in situations on third down to get matched up with Jon Runyan, but also guys like Tillery and Tyree. I would love to see him matched up on the same side. Have Malcolm Kuntz out there with Rasheed Walker, their left tackle, who's a backup left tackle. So right now they've got a situation on the offensive line. They're really beat up, which is why Jordan Love struggled against Detroit. They were able to expose that a little bit. And how did they expose that? By putting Aiden Hutchinson in defensive line games, running a ton of stunts. So I would love to see Tyree and Max Crosby on the same side. Maybe have Tyree in that 2-point stance and play a stunt game. You know, with those two on the same side of the field, whether it's Max going on the inside or Tyree going on the inside, you're going to be able to have a matchup against Jon. And even guys like Jerry Tillery. I know he had a boneheaded play last week against Justin Herbert, but what better way to rebound that and get the bad taste out of the mouth than to go out there and have a good performance? So for me, man, I think Raider Nation needs to look at number 76, Jon Runyan, right guard for the Packers. It's going to be a huge piece for this game for the Raiders to consistently generate a pass rush.
Yeah, and they're going to have to move around Max Crosby. I know that their tackle, they have their tackle listed as Zach Tom, but I think this is going to be a game where, you know, you got to take a page out of the Detroit Lions defensive playbook where they were moving around Aiden Hutchinson. I could see the same thing they're doing with Max Crosby. And I think they were doing that with Max Crosby against the Chargers. They were moving him around. And I think they should do that again and try to get as much mismatches, get this guy going. He's the best player on defense and cause havoc. They like to take their deep shots. Okay, go ahead and hold the football a little bit longer and see what happens and let Max Crosby eat. I would say another guy to pay attention to this game, I'm going to look at it from the Packers perspective. I think we need to pay attention to rookie wide receiver, slot receiver, Jayden Reed. He's had a catch of 30 yards or a touchdown in all 4 games. So this guy's a big play waiting to happen, as well as they're looking for him to score a touchdown. And the reason why this is big is because obviously Nate Hobbs is out. So Amik Robinson, Tyler Hall, they need to step up another game while Hobbs is out, and they need to pay attention to this guy because they pretty much got speed like almost everywhere, from the slot receiver to outside receivers. We all know that Christian Watson, he ran like a 4.2 in his his 40-yard dash. So we know he's a big play waiting to happen as well. But yeah, man, there's a few guys, man. Keyshawn Nixon as well. Man, that's crazy how other players leave the Raiders and somehow, some way, they're making plays. And today I was just paying attention to social media and people were posting like stats of former Raiders that are playing well, like guys like Hurst, a D tackle that we drafted, playing well. You know, if you look at Arden Key, you know, outside pass rusher. To be fair, Arden Key like didn't do nothing with the Raiders.
No.
And then somehow, some way they figured it out. But then you know what? It's fair to say that that's on coaching.
Mm-hmm.
If he can go to another team and the coaching staff could get something out of him, then that means what we did, we failed him. So Maurice Hurst is playing well. Quentin Jefferson is playing well for the Jets. I think he leads them in sacks or something to that effect. So, man, when you hear stuff like that, it sucks. But the reason why I brought that up is Keyshawn Nixon plays for the Packers, and he's an all-pro kick returner. Mm-hmm. This guy was like our 5th, 6th corner, and we had issues returning the football, and we had no idea. We had no idea. And
that's funny though. Rich Bisaccia, special teams coordinator for the Packers.
Familiar face. So he must have known a little bit. And he was like, you know what? Maybe we could put you out here and see what you can do. And
that's an interesting storyline too. I'm curious to see how many players go up and you know, I think this is the first time that they've played against Rich, if I'm not mistaken, since his departure from the Raiders. So it'll kind of be cool to see that kind of moment. But sticking to the defensive side of the ball, man. So
before you go on though, Yaya just answered your question. He says, yeah, it's me for real. From Finland.
Oh,
with dual residence in Spain and Oman. Fan since Easy E. Shout out to you. Yaya Hatamaki.
Oman. Man. Where's Oman?
Hey, that's dope, man. Hey, man, look, we got people watching this from all over the world, man. Yeah, hey, man, appreciate you coming through. Hey, real Raider fan for sure, man. You said fans is Easy E.
Oman sounds like a place that I'm like safe during the apocalypse. Like I'm trying to get residents there too, bro. Now, if it's not, let me know so I can mark that off my list.
Man, but yeah, I appreciate you, Yaya, man. We were wondering. We were just really curious, man. But that's dope, man. That's dope, man. All the way from Finland, and you got dual residence in Spain and Oman. Okay, that's cool, man.
Oh, T Severe says Middle East. All right, so it's probably not that great for the apocalypse. All right, it's off my list. Thanks, guys. All right, moving on, bro. So sticking to the defensive side of the football, bro. Don't get me distracted here. So I was watching the Green Bay Packers offense, and man, they actually run a similar concept to us. We were all familiar at this point, right, with the dagger concept. But there's a tendency that they actually run this with, kind of like with the Raiders. Tape Don't Lie kind of described us of almost like a double dagger, right? And that's something that the Raiders have been running pretty frequently. We can just say it that way.
Right.
But as I was watching the Packers, they're running a dagger, an outside dagger, a dagger on the outside, but a deep post from the slot, almost in tandem. Like when they're running dagger concept, when they've got their slot receiver, it's almost always a deep post, and they're doing that with Jaden Reed. So in that, what the Detroit Lions were able to do, they trusted their linebackers to get up to the line of scrimmage, but recognize the play and bail, and they were able to get back. I mean, like, bring everybody up to the line of scrimmage as soon as the ball's hiked, boom, being able to get back in coverage and cover a lot of distance. So you're talking 10 to 15 yards, just getting in space to kind of take away that dagger concept. So I need to see football IQ this week from the linebackers. Mm-hmm. None of the missed tackle stuff. I need them to be able to be aware of the pre-snap notions. I need them to be able to recognize what is going on the offensive side of the football. But yeah, creating depth and coverage, it's going to be big, specifically with like Robert Spillane, Divine Diablo, specifically Spillane. He needs to be able to, even if he has to give himself a little bit of leeway in coverage. Also, they run a ton of slants from the slot position, and that's something that when you line up the linebackers in the A gap, typically if that safety isn't coming down into the box and the linebackers in the A gap, you've got the slant. You've got a slant route. And Jordan Love missed it a few times against the Detroit Lions. I do expect him, because the Raiders run a little bit similar of a concept, be looking for the Packers to attack the quick slants, get the ball out of Jordan Love's hands quick. Raiders and the linebackers, they have to be able to cover space and kind of take that away. So linebackers pass coverage is going to be big because they attack the middle of the field a lot, and then they mix it up with like what you said. They like to take their shots. So man, linebackers get good depth and coverage. Safeties have to have good communication with the linebackers. Everybody has to play disciplined football on the defensive side.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And also, I'm gonna look at the other side of the football. Is a guy like Devontae Wyatt. We got to keep an eye on too as well. He's second on the team with 14 pressures, 2.5 sacks. You guys remember him too? I think he was one of the top D tackle prospects coming out of not last year's draft, but the previous draft, right? It was the draft. It wasn't Jalen Carter. Who was his teammate that got drafted a year earlier? Oh man, big guy too. We were hoping that the Raiders can possibly get him, but I
don't remember.
Oh man,
I look at way too many players.
Yeah. But he's definitely a guy that we got to pay attention to, as well as Rashawn Gary, man. Rashawn Gary, we got to pay attention to him because if you guys have noticed the tackles, the Raiders pass protecting started off pretty well first couple of games, and last couple of games we've given up 11 sacks, and that's probably due to like the Raiders kind of putting their tackles in an island, like they're not really giving too much help. It was kind of interesting hearing like McDaniels talk about, we tried everything to stop Mac, but when we looked at it, they only chipped him about like twice. And even Mac confirmed it and said like he was just going one-on-one pretty much for the most part. So that can't happen. Rashawn Gary is a talented pass rusher. Illuminor, he's a solid player, but come on now, like we got to give him some help. He's not the best. He's not going to be the best tackle out there. You know what I mean? If you're going to put him on an island like that against a guy like as talented as Rashawn Gary, so that's a huge matchup to pay attention to. But yeah, man. Like this team has talent, but it's a winnable game. It's a winnable game.
And they've also got, they've got Quay Walker. They've got a Devontae Campbell who's going to be coming back, I believe. And
he's out.
He is out.
Yeah,
okay.
he's out. Yep.
Well, that bodes well for us then. But also Carl Brooks along the defensive side. They've got Kenny Clark. So they've got some guys up front, man, that they're like the big nasties. They'll get after it. They got a good rotation going on. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of funny, man. We got two former Raiders in the secondary. We've got Rasul Douglas and Keyshawn Nixon. So we're going to get into Rasul Douglas here in a minute because there was also some tails. But let me switch to some offensive schemes here that I kind of want to talk about that I was also noticing. So Detroit line, the reason why I'm going to backtrack a little bit, you guys. When you watch divisional matchup games like Green Bay and Detroit, I said earlier that you're able to pick up on tendencies, and Jared Goff went to Rasul Douglas at the end of the game, and I'm going to talk about the route concept that I'm talking about. But he said, "Hey, look, we knew you were going to bite on that, and so we went to it. We practiced it all week, and we knew that you were going to bite on it. You bit on it, and we scored the touchdown." And that's called the stick. The stick route. So we line up two receivers on either side. And what a stick combination is, guys, it's a quick out and it's a flat route. So the wide receiver ran a quick flat route. Amon-Ra St. Brown ran a quick out route. He stopped on the quick out and he turned it into a double move. Now there's a player on the Raiders that we've seen do this and have a lot of success with it, and that's Davante Adams. So if they can get matched up with a Rasul Douglas, and Josh McDaniels has run the stick route, it's a concept in his offense that he runs. So I do expect them to take advantage of that. So we'll be able to notice that on film, and hopefully we can give you guys a post-game film, especially if they do run stick. We'll be able to notice that. But, man, I'm looking for the stick, but also that little adjustment into stick, but to a double move. And hopefully if Rasul Douglas can bite on that again, because, look, this is a copycat league. Until they fix those tendencies, you got to keep tacking it. So Davante Adams, I'm sure he sees that on film. I'm sure he's just eating that up. It's probably going to be in his tool bag showing up on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, man, stick route's going to be a big one.
Man, this offense, when Davante Adams is off the field, it looks
different. It's different.
Yeah. And the thing is that we do got pieces on offense, but then when you look at it, is like, all right, when Devontae Adams is off the field, then okay, Myers kind of moves up to that number 1 spot. Then you got obviously Renfro, who hasn't been productive this year. And I'm not saying that he's lost his ability to play. It's just like, for whatever reason, people might point the finger at the coaching staff, the quarterback play. It just hasn't happened. And Devontae Adams is like, he's an all-pro at his position. He's on automatic, and the quarterbacks know that, and they automatically just throw it to him. But like, we don't have. It's just, man, it's crazy how like McDaniels has come to this team and just turned this offensive team up. We have the talent, but it's just like there's nothing for us to. We don't have no identity on offense. There's nothing for us to really lean on. Like, where's the run game? We haven't
Where's
had
the tight ends, man.
The tight ends.
The tight ends honestly, Pharaoh out of almost. I'm not gonna say everything because I'm not gonna say that, but I'm gonna say a huge issue with this offense right now is not getting Michael Mayer involved. Yep. And I'll just carry it over. I'll talk about it with you guys and I'll recap it with Pharaoh. But man, Michael Mayer on film, y'all. Like, I know everybody's like, oh, he's only had 1 catch in 5 games. The guy's getting open. The guy is everything that he was supposed to be coming out of the draft, which is a receiving threat, a guy who can attack the seams, a guy you can do play action. He's getting open, you guys. And the fact of the matter is Josh McDaniels has got to decide some things. You can run the stick. You can run the stick with Michael Mayer. Get him involved in the flat. Get him in space. Get him matched up one-on-one with a smaller defensive back so he can get a hand in the face and get some yards after the catch. And man, tight ends are going to be crucial because it's an area where we can attack the Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, man, getting Michael Mayer involved in but Trey Tucker, man, like we seen it last week with the Chargers, they were able to get some guys behind the line of scrimmage involved in the game. I would love to see Trey Tucker, get him involved in a screen game, get him involved with the check down, don't do the stupid little end around stuff that Josh McDaniels likes to do. I know it worked a couple weeks ago. You could do it here and there, but man, get him involved. Get some of these guys designed. But you guys, it's like beating a dead horse. Every single week we come on here and we're talking about McDaniels getting these guys involved, getting these guys schemed up, but it doesn't happen, and it's just like, if it's not Devontae, if it's not Jacoby Myers, then they're not a part of the offense, and that's got to change. That's what I liked about Aiden O'Connell a little bit. At least he was able to target Hunter Renfrow. I think 4 times he targeted Hunter Renfrow. Hunter came away with, I think, 2 catches or something like that. But man, it's just Josh McDaniels' lack, and I don't have an answer for it. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't have an answer for why it is Josh McDaniels isn't able to do this. I don't know if this is more of like an offensive philosophy, as it's not necessarily about getting one guy going per se, as much as it is take the football where the defense is showing you there's an open opportunity. I think that's more of Josh McDaniels' philosophy is like, hey, look, I don't care who gets the ball, put the ball where there's an opportunity, a loose end in the defense that you can kind of exploit. And it's driving me nuts, to be honest with you, because all that sounds good on paper, but you have to have the quarterback to be able to go through the reads and hit those windows and to be able to exploit the vulnerabilities of these defenses that we're going against. But that's just not the case. That's not the reality for the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo. And unfortunately for Aiden O'Connell, who had a short week of preparation, who's been getting reps with the scout team. Like, I can't put that all on Aiden O'Connell. I thought he had a good second half of the football game. So, yeah, and on top of that, man, like Carl Brooks, interior defensive tackle, is going up against Dylan Parham. You know what I mean? And Carl Brooks, to me, you guys, look, Dylan Parham for me this season has struggled. I'm not going to say that he's doing great. There's times in pass protection, and specifically with these finesse guys, these guys who have amazing power, they're just giving him fits. You know what I mean? And granted, we don't have a run game, so guys are just pinning their ears back and running games and really exploiting our offensive line in areas that's vulnerable. But man, a guy like Jermaine Illuminor going against Rashawn Gary, a big power guy after coming off of a week of Khalil Mack, and you're going to put Jermaine Illuminor with Rashawn Gary. It's just, look, this offensive line, Jimmy G better hope that he's healthy. Jimmy G is in for a long game if he thinks that Jermaine Illuminor is just going to be able to put up with Rashawn Gary, if Jermaine is going to stand a chance. So, yeah, man, are you good? Are you good on your side?
Yeah, I'm good on my side, man. Appreciate it, man. You've been holding it down, man. Appreciate everybody with their patience today, man, with me. Look, where we at? Okay. Were you in the chat the whole time?
No, I was just talking about some offensive matchups, talking to the chat about it.
Okay.
So
Raider, let's address this right here because I had it on since the beginning. So I had Raider Tiger says, I'm not trying to be negative, but this has been this has been a show so far. I get you. We need a mobile QB who can make plays and run around. Hey, you know what's funny that me and Ray were looking at like pretty much the best teams in the red zone, and all of them have something in common. Like literally, we looked at the top 3. And all of them have mobile QBs, guys that can make something happen if the play falls apart. They got a guy back there that can literally call his own number and get a touchdown. So, but
and give us our roses. Who's number 3 in the league right now for red zone percentage?
Anthony Richardson, man, the coach.
Anthony Richardson, thank you very much. I'll take it where I can get it.
Yeah, man. Look, and number 1 in the league is obviously Baltimore Ravens. They're scoring a touchdown in 80% of the time that they're getting there. So, or 80% touchdown percentage, which is crazy. But they're number 1, and hey, man, numbers don't lie. So it is what it is. Raiders need to figure out a way they can get a quarterback like that. I still want Aiden O'Connell out there, but man. Sometimes you just think about all these mobile QBs, be like, man, what happens if the Raiders had one of those? What would it be like to watch on Sundays,
Hey, guilty pleasure, though. Like, it was like when we had Terrell Pryor, I was just like screaming for Terrell Pryor for the longest time. I'm not saying he was a great quarterback, but he gave our offense, who was struggling at that time, a little bit different of a dynamic. And you were able to see what he was able to do with his legs. Like, I'll probably never forget that Pittsburgh Steelers game where he does the read option and takes it like, what was it, like 95, 98 yards, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But running ability brings some dynamic aspects to an offense. It's just not Josh McDaniels' style, and that's what's extremely aggravating to me.
Look at the quarterbacks that he wants out there. You know what I mean? Like a Mac Jones.
And then gets upset
he drafts a Aiden O'Connell. He wants that pocket passer, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, in today's NFL, like, you got to have someone that could at least make something happen out there. Play breaks down. But, it is what it is. Let's stay positive. We'll see what happens on Monday. Let's get into the chat real quick. People are calling out the score right now. Raider Ryan says 24-21 Raiders. Okay, I like that.
Oh, we break 20 points for the first time?
Hey, oh my God, we haven't broken 20 points this whole season. And oh man, we'll get into you know what? We'll get into the keys of the game in a second. Let's get into the chat real quick. J Dub says, time we end that streak, Sean. Okay. People talking about Lewis says their defense is solid, their receivers are good, and our secondary hurting, they can throw all over us. But the thing is, I just feel like defensively, I feel like this is a chance for our defense to actually, they can match up with them, because as talented as some of their pieces are on offense, Love is inconsistent. And when you got inconsistent at quarterback, I feel like that gives the defensive coordinator, the defense, a chance to throw some blitzes to get after the quarterback. If the quarterback is holding the football, they're trying to take shots. This is a great game to get our pass rush going. I'm telling you.
Of all the hypotheticals we've talked about, right? No, don't turn the football over. You need to establish the run game. All that just like silliness that we always have to say week in and week out because it's the truth, but it hasn't happened. This should be the game that the Raiders pass rush is able to create. You're going to be able to build off of a Chargers game. If they show up ready to play, this Raiders defensive line could actually start to find an identity and I think start trending in the right direction. Like you talked about him earlier, Malcolm Kuntz.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you want. I think Malcolm Kuntz is kind of finding his footing a little bit right now. And it's nice to see, like, especially with the Chandler Jones situation that happened, and there's a big void on that side. And we all knew the Tyree situation, like that's what it was going to be. I think we all have like a short mind. We're in that TikTok short 30-second mind frame generation. And Tyree was always going to be a long-term vision instead of an immediate gratification. So
No, he's playing well. I think I seen somewhere where he had a higher pass rush win rate than Max Crosby. Not by much, but it was up there. So
with his limited snaps.
Yeah, with his limited snaps, and he's also going one-on-one every play. So it's not like he's facing like two guys getting hit in the ribs or something like that.
Max is getting doubled, and he's getting a running back.
Yeah.
And they're throwing water bottles at him. Like they're trying to do everything to stop him.
But the point is I'm trying to say is that he's playing well. He's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing. Raider Tiger says they got to scrap one of the 4 running backs on the roster and get another edge or D tackle.
Brandon Bolden.
Brandon Bolden, that guy he's on a scholarship. He can't do no wrong. Let's see. Luis had a question. He said, let's see. He said, question, would you rather start O'Connell first, then if he starts having problems, put Jimmy instead of vice versa?
I think you guys know how we feel. Like, given the situation, Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell, me personally, just seeing the fruits of what this offense is early, and I'll give Jimmy the benefit of the doubt. Missed training camp reps. Yeah, like he's playing catch up right now in this offense. Regardless if, this is McDaniel's guy, he understands the offense. He's playing catch up, and I understand that aspect. But look, we're playing real games that mean something. So there's no excuses. We've got to find a way to make this work. Given the situation in the Raiders organization, you guys know that I would like to see Aiden O'Connell. I think there's just a little bit more upside. Right now, I think he's able to push the football down the field a little bit more. You can make the argument, are those good decisions? Are those bad decisions? I would hear you out on that. But he has that threat. He has that in his tool bag to be able to do. And the fact of the matter is right now, defenses around the NFL aren't respecting Jimmy Garoppolo when it comes to arm strength. So they're loading up the boxes. They're sitting on everything. You're getting a lot of soft zone coverages, a lot of checkdowns, and teams making tackles. And then they're just pinning their ears back and getting after him. So, because they know his durability is a question mark. So, yeah, me personally, I would probably go Aiden O'Connell.
Nah, 100%. I'll go to Aiden O'Connell because there's no point. Jimmy G, but it's a lot of politics going on. It's not even as simple as who's better or who's kind of better. What makes more sense? It's more of like, all right, we just paid $33.8 million guaranteed money to Jimmy G. So they're going to let it play out as long as possible to figure out if it's going to work or not. They're not going to pull the plug that early. So the only way Aiden O'Connell comes into the game is literally injury, or the Raiders lose the next couple games, and then at this point the season's kind of lost cause.
So is he the official backup? Like, do you think he was getting second team reps this week?
That's a very good question. I was thinking about that too, because before he became the starter, he was announced the starter, he was inactive. Yeah. And Brian Hoyer was the official backup quarterback of Jimmy G. But now that, he started the game, like, are you going to go back to putting him in inactive?
Or is he going back to the scout team? Because I don't think he deserved that.
Yeah, it just I don't know. The way they're handling it, it's like they're almost kind of like they don't want him to get on the field and play well. It's almost like they don't want him to play well.
That's dumb though, because it's like that's their guy. They picked him. You know what I mean? Like,
it's strange, man. Because I did not understand why he was inactive and Brian Hoyer wasn't the emergency quarterback. Hoyer should have been the emergency quarterback, and he should have been the backup quarterback.
Hoyer, being the veteran quarterback that he is, should be running the scout team. He should be giving them looks that is not like a rookie quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I would be curious to say, hey, is Aiden O'Connell the official 2? Like, if Jimmy goes down this game, are we going to see Brian Hoyer, or is Aiden going to be inactive? That's going to be interesting to see.
T. Severe says Marcus Peters might get exposed on Monday. Ooh, they do got a lot of speed at receiver.
Yeah. Christian Watson. Yeah, I'm not trying to. Let's stay away from that matchup. Marcus, he needs to be like 8 to 9 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Morg played a great game against SD, and Tyree in the 2-point stance was a revelation. Yeah. Hey, man, hey, look, this is a game where there's going to be some opportunities for some of these pass rushers on the Raiders to get something going, because the quarterback back there is going to be holding the ball so he can hit some of these deep shots. And this is your moment of time to shine. Like, get your sacks. If you want to pad your stats, this is the game. This is the game for sure. Nick 209 says Raiders must contain the edges as well as going against Love. Oh yeah, I mean he's a mobile QB. That's the one thing that I hope doesn't happen to as well is getting him outside the pocket, because Raiders every time they play like a mobile QB, he always rolls out and he's able to get outside the pocket. And
Are we gonna see a bunch of those inside swim moves from Max Crosby?
oh my god, where he just goes inside and then like literally the outside is wide open for the QB to.
I think it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna happen. It's specifically because the right guard situation, the matchup there. I feel like he feels like he can get home a little bit. So, yeah, just watch that.
Well, hey, let's it's you know what? Let's get into it. Hey, I forgot to remind everybody, man. Make sure to hit that like button, y'all. Like, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go live. So you don't hit us up and say, "Oh, when the next we missed your live." It's all good. Just hit that notification bell, you'll be notified, and as well as that like button, so we can keep coming back and keep doing this, man. Now it's that time.
Oh,
It's
there we
that
go.
time. It's that time. It's that time. It's keys to the game, man. Let's get into who do we feel will be what's going to be a big part of this game, and what's going to be happening moving forward, and how the Raiders could come out on top against the Packers, man.
So I've got make bad plays into momentum plays. Take the opportunities of creating a pass rush. Last week, Jordan Love was making some questionable decisions. Linebackers were getting good depth, so they were able to get their hand on a football, which is why I alluded to that earlier. They were able to do tip passes, which led to interception. The Raiders have to do the similar thing. They've got to take a bad play out of Jordan Love and make it a momentum shifting type of play. And we've got to see the Raiders defense do that. And I think that they could actually, it's very plausible. I would love to see them getting their hands up at the line of scrimmage. They were doing it against Herbert. Get some batted passes in there and give your defensive backs and linebackers an opportunity to go get a turnover. Also, speaking of turnovers, I've got us having no turnovers. We can't turn the football over. There's not been a game this entire year that we haven't had a turnover. So we've got to see a turnover-free, a low penalty type of game out of this Raiders organization before we can move forward and saying like, hey, they're playing winning football. And my last one, man, capitalize off of a good defensive performance. The Raiders, if they can build off of what they did against the Chargers last week and carry that over into this Green Bay game and start building an identity defensively, because I think that they're closer than the offense is, then this Raiders offense needs to find a way to capitalize off of the Raiders defense performing well and doing them a favor by putting more points on the board. So the fact of the matter is we've got to get past 15 points, guys. So we've got to get up in that 20 mark.
Man, that's so sad. Like, come on, man. We're averaging 15.5 points per game. That's crazy.
That's garbage.
Oh, we definitely got to break that 20-point mark. It's going to be a big number to get to, especially for this team. If they want to improve, they want to get on that W column, they're going to have to score more than 15 points. Get that to, and I agree that turnover differential. I think the Raiders are probably near the bottom of the league right now. Like they're at like -7, at least -7.
Oh, they've got to be the worst because Jimmy was leading the league in turnovers. And then Aiden O'Connell had what, 4?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah, like 3. So 2 fumbles,
and
the interception.
Yeah.
So that's 3 right there. So we might be at -10 possibly. That being said, we haven't had a game without a turnover. Like, let's have that game. Let's see what happens if we don't turn the ball over. Also, I add, we kind of say this every week. Every week we keep saying this is a big key to the game. Run the football. Get the run game going. I know Sean in the chat said, hey, man, if we can't run the football, it's going to be a long, long season. I agree. I don't think we're built for that. We do have passing options, but the quarterback position right now is very inconsistent. Whether we put Aiden O'Connell back there or whether we put Jimmy G out there, we don't know what to expect from that position. But we should expect Josh Jacobs to play well back there. And for some reason, it's not happening. Whether you could probably say, oh, well, Josh Jacobs missed a lot of the offseason and training camp. He's rusty. Well, we're kind of 4 or 5 games in the season. He should be good already.
No, yeah.
And now let's get on the O-line. The O-line hasn't been blocking well. You can get on them. Maybe they're just not fitting. They don't fit that power blocking scheme. Maybe they just might be a zone blocking team. That's on the coaching staff. They have to recognize that. They have to make those adjustments. Hopefully they make it this game. This is a team right now. The Packers have given up 200 plus rushing yards in 2 of the past 3 games. So they are struggling. I just told you earlier that they're giving up 155 yards per game. So this is another opportunity for the Raiders to get their run game going. They've given up 200 yards in the past 2-3 games to each team they've played. So, this is a great opportunity to get the run game. I think that's going to be a big part of the If the Raiders are going to want to win this game, I think they're going to have to play keep away. That's just going to be their offense until they can get some solid QB play. I think they need to get that run game going and stop explosive plays. I think if you can get to their quarterback, sack them, and not give up those explosive plays, because that's where their offense lives off is literally like getting big plays. I think that's going to be a big part of this game as well. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much the keys to the game. I agree with a lot of. Raider Tiger has it right here. He says 32nd in turnover differential at -9. Hey, guess what though? We did get our first turnover last week, didn't we? Was our first interception?
Oh, it could be.
We got to be positive. We got to be positive. We got to be positive. But I think we did get our first interception with Morig, I think, last week. That was our first interception. But that being said, this is a winnable game.
Is this the game that Marcus Peters gets one?
I hope so. But T. Severe got me a little bit kind of nervous because I was thinking about it because they got some speedy receivers and they like to take deep shots.
The thing I do like about it though is when you've seen he give up that big play. I don't like that part, but when he gave up that big play against the Steelers, they started to target him and he had opportunities. He had an opportunity at a pick 6. He started getting involved in the run game. So I think it's good to get Marcus Peters involved because there's a lot of times where he's pretty quiet. Mm-hmm. You get him involved in the game. I think it's a good situation for the defensive back room. Obviously not the explosive big plays. Don't put him in bump and run. Don't get him pressed up on the line of scrimmage, against a Christian Watson, a J.N. Reed. Don't do that. But I would like to see Marcus Peters get the second turnover for the Raiders.
Oh, did you see this? Oman's a small country in the Middle East. Too hot, bro. Best avoided. Okay.
Yeah. I took it off my list. We're good.
Yeah. So let me get into the chat real quick before we move on. Let's see. T. Severe says if these guys are open, it is his fault they're not getting the. Is it his fault that they're not getting the ball?
Well, I think it's and both. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not going to say it's all on Josh McDaniels because the quarterback's got to go through the reads, obviously, make the plays. And look, I've been on Josh McDaniels' defense in that. For the first, what was it, the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I was in defense of that, saying, "Hey, look, guys are getting open, but the quarterbacks aren't seeing it." But look, if that's happening week after week after week after week, you've got to make the adjustments. So if these guys are getting open, then the number one read now needs to be to the guy who has shown that his ability to get open on that. So if it's like I said, this is an offensive progression type of system. So it's not Josh McDaniels going out there and designing concepts for guys or getting specific Hunter Renfrow involved in the game. It's wherever the defense is giving you an opportunity, that's where you're going to go with the football. The problem is the quarterback is not seeing where he needs to distribute the football to consistently. So it's an and both. And I think being the head coach, you've got to make those adjustments and maybe add a little bit of those aspects into the game.
Joey Cornerstone, appreciate it. He says, great show, guys. This game is bigger than people think for this franchise.
Oh, it's huge. This is a huge game. We say it every week building up to this, but this is the biggest game of the year. So
for Josh McDaniels, for sure.
If you go out here and lose an ugly game again, you're going to get talked about.
You're going to get talked about. People are going to be questioning you. Are you the guy moving forward? And I think you got to think that Mark Davis is probably going to be thinking about it too as well.
Does he get a full season if they keep losing?
This is a nice little segue. Let's actually get into it, man. It's that time, y'all.
In
other news, Mark Davis, man, he was on the he's kind of shown up on the news a little bit. You know what I mean? On social media, the other day, someone caught him on someone's phone camera recording him, I guess, during the game, and they're like heckling him and talking about you need to fire McDaniels, and Let me just play the video. Let's play the video real quick. Let's see. Let's see here.
And if you guys haven't, man, smash that like button.
Let's see. Share this tab instead. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right, let me go ahead and play this video. So this is from a video from the Chargers game. We were supposed to play this the last time we went live, but we didn't. We were short on time.
Yeah, we went 2 hours.
Yeah, we don't usually go that long, but yeah, but here's the clip. I think most of y'all seen this, but let's talk about it.
After smarting up, he ran out of things to say. He's it.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Yeah, Mark ran out of things to say.
but you know what? That's kind of a tough situation because at the end of the day, like, it's kind of like, what do you expect him to say? Like, what? To be honest with you, would you have been yelling with the fans?
Yelling at Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have snuck right in between them two ladies. I would have been like, "Hey, look, Mark, we got to talk, bro." Like, I would have had a more polite conversation, but it would have been to the point.
Yeah, now I probably would have been yelling or whatever. Because it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, he's not gonna. I understand.
They put that man in the most vulnerable area.
Yeah, maybe on purpose. Because you don't. Yeah, maybe on purpose. But but I thought that was interesting though, because he said you got to smarten up. But I think he's thinking about it though. I think if the Raiders keep losing, then he has to think about it. I don't think right now he's thinking about it. He's going to give them more than enough time to figure out, okay, are these guys? But if they win like 2 games this season, come on now, come on. Like I don't know if you could. I don't know if you would want this franchise to make that big decision in drafting. Because think about it, they're going to be like a top 5 pick at least.
You know what I fear though is like if the coaching staff fails and they do get fired, is like the contracts that we're stuck with. That's what I'm like, because you've got these guys signed like Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, unless the team is willing to take on that whole deal. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like I'm not worried about the Jacoby Myers. I think a coaching staff would come in and be fine with working with the Jacoby and a Devontae. But what do you do with the Hunter contract? You know, is Josh Jacobs gone? Like Josh Jacobs is falling into that category of.
Does he want to come back? Because he now has. I mean, can they franchise? I think they probably could franchise him again.
Yeah, you can franchise him again, but dude, it's like, I forget it. It's more money than what it is now.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, all right, the new regime has to like look at.
Nah, bro, you blow it up.
Yeah,
you don't bring him back. He's gonna go to like he'll go to like Baltimore or one of those well-established teams that need to run. Probably Miami. Can you imagine Josh Jacobs like in Miami is thrown into that running back room? Like,
yeah,
it's just, I don't know, man.
Yes, it sucks. And then, you know, we seen the reports though. We seen that, you know, reports that, you know, Devontae is not even thinking about like leaving the Raiders. And
yeah.
But I'm like, at one point does that change?
Yeah, when you have 2 wins.
When you have
31, 32 years old, whatever he is.
Yeah, you got 2 wins and like they're basically telling you like, hey, this is gonna be a rebuild. Like, do you want to?
Hey, unless they're like, if they lose against Green Bay, they might as well. I mean, I know you hate it, but they might as well tank and go chase a generational type of quarterback. I'll sacrifice. Look, I know you're against it, but I will sacrifice 1 year for 15.
You know, it'd be funny if like Mark is like, "Oh yeah, just tank. You guys will be there to make that decision."
Smarten up. He's got a plan, dude.
And then right at the end of the season, Mark Davis fires him and hires some, you know, a better coaching candidate than. I mean, come on, man. Like, be honest with you, I don't believe in McDaniels.
No, not long term, and specifically, well, short term either. But the whole Tom Brady majority thing, like. how he was trying to get him in there. Do you think Tom would be a good guy to have in the building as far as being able to help Mark identify a leader for a next head coach hire? Like to be able to sit down with Mark and be like, hey, like that's a leader. That's a guy. Talk football with him, with one of the greatest to ever do it. You know what I mean?
You have to question now. I'm like really thinking about McDaniels. Like you have to really question him in like how good he is as a coach. Like, is he only good in that Patriots building? That's it.
That whole tree. Look at the whole tree.
Because if you think about it, look, put it this way: after he failed in Denver, he didn't go straight to the Patriots. He spent 1 year as an offensive coordinator for the Rams, and they were terrible. Then he goes back to Tom Brady and the Patriots, and everything's good as new. Like, oh, exactly. Talented. Oh man, Josh.
I'm ready for my next time. I'm ready for my next shot.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
But yeah, speaking of Tom Brady, Mark Davis and Tom Brady sale didn't go through.
Yeah,
it didn't go through. They're saying that it's possibly due to Mark Davis giving him a 70% discount.
He needs to give me a 70% discount on these tickets.
And bigger, yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. Every Raider fan needs to get a discount for these Raider tickets.
Yeah, 100%.
They're like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, it didn't go through. And on top of that, like it's his ownership stake is bigger than what they thought it was going to be. I think it's as much as 10% of the team. So he's getting a 70% discount to own 10% of the team.
Let me ask you this, though, because the Raiders are in a unique situation here. If they do fire this regime, are you able to keep Champ Kelly? Keep Champ Kelly, a guy who's been talked about. He's going to be a GM in the NFL at some point. Or are you scared with that?
I'm kind of scared. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like,
really?
Because like he's with you. He's with the regime that failed. You want to bring him back?
I mean, I don't know how much he's involved with majority decision, but hey, you watch all your dudes get fired. I don't know.
I know.
I like Champ Kelly. Champ Kelly's a good football mind.
But you remember before the Raiders.
He came from Chicago though, right?
Yeah, he came from Chicago.
So he's not a Patriot guy.
He's not a Patriot guy.
Yeah, so
he was interviewed for the Raiders GM position, and I don't know if they were impressed, and I don't know how that came about, but he was a GM candidate, and then he became assistant GM, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's so impressive." The Raiders were able to get like a top GM candidate in Ziegler, and then got Champ Kelly, and that I don't know, man. Like so far, it just
a bunch of hot garbage, bro.
Man, for real. But yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I remember I was big. The guy that I want the Raiders to get was the guy from the Colts.
Oh, you want Jim Irsay to take over?
No, not the owner. Not the owner. What was his name? Oh man, he's like one of the top personnel guys on their team. And the reason why he was a big candidate is because he was part of the reason why the Colts had so much talent, so much pro bowlers the year prior, and like.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Where'd he go?
Nah, he stayed put.
He stayed there.
He stayed there, so he's still there.
So he took Anthony Richardson then.
He's part of that scouting department that took Anthony Richardson. So that just saying. I'm just saying, like they're not afraid to make those types of picks. But I mean, this draft that's coming up, man, I don't like. There's a lot of can't miss type of players, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, man, it's been a good show, man. We just wanted to come in here, man, just talk about the game. We don't want to take too much of your time. We appreciate everybody coming through. We got Raiders Tigers. Even Belichick is not the same. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, hey, when you don't have a quarterback, Tom Brady was the main ingredient. Let's be honest. Tom Brady was the main ingredient. Belichick.
And hindsight's 22, right? Because you're like, oh, Brady wouldn't be anything without Belichick. Like, there was that whole controversy for years with him over there in that New England system. Like, oh, if he ever left New England, he would be trash. Leaves New England, goes on to win a Super Bowl.
Hey, man. All I know is Andy Reid. I've never seen Andy Reid coach a terrible offense.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
Oh,
know
they're not even in the same realm.
Yeah, I'm not, and I don't even want to make that comparison.
Yeah, they're not in the
my
same
guy
realm.
Mark and Ed Dodds. Appreciate that, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ed Dodds.
Yeah.
Ed Dodds. Appreciate it. If they fire this regime, if they don't really out to lunch? What? Mark, I'm just gonna switch it to this comment right here, man. I appreciate you, my guy. Nah, I appreciate you, bro. He says Dodds and Harbaugh should have been the choice. But I'm not sure if Harbaugh wants to come to the NFL. And I don't even know now anymore. Like I'm kind of let's stay away from those guys from the past.
Yeah.
I don't want them to recapture it with the Raiders. Like, nah. Like
I want a new up and coming like creative mind. And I know they're gonna be like, oh, well, you just got that in Josh McDaniels and it failed. I'm like, no, like a leader of men, or at least a defensive minded head coach that brings in like a legit offensive coordinator.
Get a coach that can relate to the players. Get someone that can relate to the players and that can build a quality staff.
Hey, I would take a look at even Detroit Lions offensive coordinator.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's the guy I would hire, but there's candidates out there, man, that are young minds that I don't know about as a head coach, though. I would almost would you be more comfortable getting a defensive minded head coach that just has the ability to go out and get a really good offensive coordinator? So like that guy's talent actually shows through and he's not having to lead a team like Josh McDaniels is having to do.
Man, I'm just like it sucks from a lot of different standpoint. Like if you don't have a quarterback, it's like you're not going to really go anywhere. But then if you have a terrible coach, like that messes up everything as well. Like think about it. Mike Tomlin's a great head coach. You could probably argue that he's number 2 right behind Andy Reid. But since he doesn't have a quarterback, he's always going to be in that mid-tier of teams. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, he's got to be able to hit on a quarterback.
Like, it's like
that's what he's hurting on.
That's every team.
Every team. It's not just him, but every team.
Every team, because outside of like Kansas City, all right, Kansas City got a quarterback. All right, we know Mahomes. You got Allen, the guy with the Bengals, and Bengals might miss.
Joe Burrow looks terrible, bro.
Yeah, he's hurt. Yeah, he's hurt, and they might miss the playoffs too. So, but they got a quarterback. When he's healthy, they have a quarterback. And then after that, Herbert. Do you throw Herbert in there?
Come on, bro.
But he hasn't proved anything. But he looks good.
He was looking good until he played us.
That's true.
Which is weird. That's weird.
Hey, I ain't mad at that, man.
No, I'm not mad, but it's weird. I'll just be honest.
Right. Tease versus Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick. I agree. Leader as a head coach, great young mind, OC. Hey, to be honest with you, man, like let's build his defense.
Like, okay, like Dan Quinn. Would you give him another opportunity? I know he failed in Atlanta, but
did you see what I posted the other day about like all of these quarterbacks, how many top 10 defenses they had?
Yeah. I don't remember it though. I don't remember.
It was like Tom Brady after he was 40, he had 5 top 10 defenses.
That's crazy.
And then Mahomes, he hasn't had a top 10 defense.
They're playing good right now.
Yeah, but he's never had a top 10 defense, and he's won 2 rings. That's crazy.
Mahomes is actually struggling, I feel like.
Right now, I mean, because look at their offense, bro. Like, come on. Like, can you name two or three of their receivers?
Yeah.
Outside of I mean, because
I can, but
you can name them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can name them because you pretty much study this team. You have to.
Yeah. Now, am I saying that there's any of them that are top 20 wide receivers?
He said your boy has said if they fire this regime, and I'm saying if they don't, they're really out to lunch.
Yeah. That's true.
Nah, I got you, man. But hey, man, it's about that time, man. We look, we're at 1:15. Okay, man. We were like, let's do an hour today and let's get out of here, man. This is about that time. But we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Any last thoughts for the people?
Hey, let's go do it. Let's go out here and get a game. Let's go win. We're hitting a stretch of these games that they're really winnable. So we've got to kind of make up for lost ground. And let's start with the Green Bay Packers, man. So that's all my eyes are at. It's just let's go out here and get a win. Yeah, no doubt, man. We're gonna get it. And let's end it like we usually do, man. Hopefully they get that win. This Monday Night Football, we want to. Hey, every time I watch the Raiders, man, I want them to win. To be honest with you, I know we were just talking about tanking if they lose, but in reality, I want the Raiders to win. So hopefully, as Al Davis likes to say,
Just win, baby.
all right, y'all. Peace.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future. Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.